Hey guys, MC Mura here, and today we have a beefy discussion. This is a video that I want to be elaborate on, and it's something that I want to discuss. By the way, before I start, this is not a Street Fighter 6 hate video. This is not a complaint video. This is entirely a point of perspective. This is all about perspective. How do you look at things? Because you can make the argument with me or you can be completely against me, and it's totally fine. I see it. It's not old game good, new game bad. It's none of that. Simply perspective, right? Now let's check out what started all of this, what I'm talking about. Recently I saw this tweet by FedEx, and if you know, obviously FedEx is like a huge Tekken YouTuber, very big channel. I'm sure you are aware. If you're watching my video, you know who FedEx is, right? So they posted this tweet: why does every game I enjoy require 10 hours of sleep, a balanced diet, hydration, and a healthy mindset to enjoy? And obviously got an angry emoji. And this is something, while I'm not like a Tekken 8 player right now, I dabbled in Tekken before, but I didn't really pick up Tekken 8 like that. I'm not sure if he's referencing Street Fighter 6 or Tekken, but this is a sentiment that I see a lot, and it's something that I feel myself. So I made the quote tweet. I have never seen a game that punishes you for having a 9 to 5 the way Street Fighter 6 does. I don't think Street Fighter 4 or even Street Fighter 5 were nearly this demanding. And this tweet did 86k, so it certainly did the rounds, and people felt like sort of ways around it. Add-on mortgage, family, kid, and another on the way. Congratulations. I had to stop drinking alcohol to make it to master. I guess there is another reason why they added modern, so people will feel like whatever, right? You can feel like Street Fighter 6 is an easy game. You can make the argument that this is a game that is about like the 9 to 5 worker life, where now it's easier than ever to play, or you can feel the opposite, and I'm gonna explain like both sides, and it's up to you to make your argument. Right? But before we do that, there are things that we need to discuss, some facts, right? The fact of the matter is that Street Fighter 6 do have undeniably better online experience. It is easier than ever to just jump into the game and play, right? As someone who's been around since 2008, and ever since then fighting games have been a part of my daily life, almost like most of the days, it's easier than ever to just get into games and play. And this game, it doesn't waste your time as some of the other games did. Other games maybe have like worse matchmaking. Online match, like netcode, was a lot worse. Playing online versus offline felt almost like completely different games, completely different metas. Street Fighter 6 is much better in that. So this is a game where it's much easy. It's the easiest it has ever been for you to just play, right? That's a huge bonus for Street Fighter 6. Street Fighter 6 require much less execution overall, right? Say for example, I'm using Bison, right? And let's turn the frame meter on, right? So Bison have a combo bread and butter that everyone does, which is standing medium punch, crouching medium punch. The standing medium is +6 on hit. Crouching medium is 6 frame startup. So this combo is technically a 1 frame link, but like all Bison players are gonna do this every time. Almost like the entire player base, from like gold, maybe platinum, all the way to legend, all of them are gonna be able to do that, right? It's supposed to be like a hard combo because like it's 1 frame link, but it's not, because there is an input buffer here, right? So aside from Guile with some of his like boom loops, aside of Ed with his like dream combos, and some very select few combos here and there, overall, the overwhelming majority of Street Fighter 6 character, everything, execution is much less compared to what it was in other games, right? Especially like Street Fighter 4. So that is something to say about this game. And because we're in 2025 and Street Fighter 6 is a relevant game at the time, it's much easier to share knowledge. Now we have character discords, you got tools like FAT, Street Fighter 6 frame data, ton of tools to check out, like Street Fighter 6 Wikipedia. I think there is like another website, Twitter, ton of resources on YouTube, match replays. It's so much easier to search for whatever and get whatever knowledge you want compared to the previous games, right? And Street Fighter 6 is a much higher damage game, and that is especially compared to like Street Fighter 4 and late Street Fighter 5. When I think of Mai, I don't think she's like a particularly high damage character, but a basic combo like OD Ryumbu into like level 2 into level 1, which is like an expensive combo, not that expensive, but it sets up like a great situation, and this did 53k, 5.3k. So that's like 53% on the average character. That's a ton. And Mai, like I said, is not a character that you would particularly think of her as like a high damage character. This is like a utility and a damage combo. And obviously, I don't want to get started on Bison. We all know like Bison gets a 7Ks, right? So damage overall is really high. So damage is high, execution is easy, it's easy to get into games, and it's easy to share knowledge. Everything I just said is actually pro Street Fighter 6 being the 9 to 5 worker game, where it's much easier to get into, it's much easier to play, everything is much easier, right? But here is where I'm gonna talk about perspective and what I actually meant by that tweet, right? Because I didn't actually mention any of that. That's not what I meant. As you know, in fighting games, you can think of your gameplay level as different skills, right? Think of it as like a diagram, right? Where like you're an RPG character, right? You have points in execution, knowledge, mind games, resource management, reactions. There are so many different aspects to a fighting game player, right? And what are you good at, what are you bad at, and that is where Street Fighter 6 gets a little bit wonky. Let's jump back to Street Fighter 4, and I'm gonna show you what I mean. Alright, so now we got Street Fighter 4, and I'm gonna say Street Fighter 4 is undeniably a harder game to play than Street Fighter 6, right? It's undeniably harder. So why do me, Mura, think that it is a better game or an easier game for the 9 to 5 worker? Well, let me explain, right? Remember the chart I showed you where I was discussing like the different abilities of you as a player, execution, mind game, knowledge and everything? This is a game where some of the qualities, some of the skills like execution, like knowledge, actually mattered more and it differentiated more between the players. As the training mode here isn't great, so I'm gonna do my best to show you what I mean. And well, let's get into it. So say that we got two Codys, right? And we got a Cody that is like a beginner, a player that is like an average player, and a player that is really good and really optimal, right? Says that we want to do like a basic combo, and in Street Fighter 4 you would mostly fish with jabs, right? Most of the game was jab fishing. So I'm gonna do like 3 lights, bam bam bam, into heavy criminal upper, and this did almost like 170 damage. This game's average character had 1000 health, so this is about like 17%. Jab, jab, jab into heavy criminal upper. Now a Cody that is more advanced is gonna go for the crouching jab into standing medium punch into a crouching heavy punch into the heavy criminal upper, and these are 2 consecutive 1 frame lengths. I actually missed the initial jab, but this did almost like 300. So this is a flat. I think this is the optimal. If I did get the jab, I should have gotten like a 280. But this is about like a flat 10% increase on the combo, right? I'm getting like a flat 10% increase. That is a lot. Like that's a lot more. This means that the player with the higher execution is gonna get a lot more. In a game like Street Fighter 6, where most of the players can do the most advanced combos, here the player who actually do have higher execution do have a significant edge, and this also will play into like the resource management. Say that I want to combo into super, right? If my opponent is crouching like that, the lower level Cody can get a combo into red focus. You can do like criminal upper into red focus, right? So it will look something like this. He's gonna do like 3 jabs into criminal upper into red focus, right? And let me make sure that the meter is not infinite so that you can see it like how it is. So you would get a combo like that. I spent 3 bars and my ultra gauge, and this did 280. That is like 280. That's about 28%. Let's say 29% for argument's sake. A Cody that is more advanced, a Cody that is gonna do like the standing medium into crouching heavy route. One thing about crouching heavy is that it forces a stand, which means that he can get a combo into the heavy kick ruffian. So the more advanced Cody would do a combo like that. So as you can see, the most like the combo that requires the 2 frame links, the combo that's really difficult, it did 47%. So I did more damage and I spent less meter. So this meant that the player who do have the higher execution did actually more damage and got to keep his resources, right? So at this point, execution plays a big part. Execution is this. It's muscle memory. It's something that once you got, you can just do. Your hands will remember. Even if your mind don't have to be like ultra focused, your hands remember what you're doing. And this goes into setups as well, right? Say that I did a basic combo like crouching medium punch into like kick ruffian, right? And I wanna press the opponent. In this game, backdashes are involved, right? So say that the opponent here is gonna do like that, crouching medium punch meaty, right? Let's actually bring it back. This is gonna be like a little bit tough to explain. See, I can just wake up backdash and I got out, right? But if me as the aggressor, if me knows the option select that I can deal with this, I can stop it in its track. What would the higher level Cody do, right? And Cody isn't like even like a particularly like difficult character. Say that I'm gonna backdash on wake up, he's gonna option select like a medium kick ruffian so that I simply can't like backdash safely against his offense, right? And I'm trying to like I'll show you my inputs. I am pressing back, but I'm getting hit. Like this is a punish, right? So what this meant is, again, Cody isn't even like a particularly like difficult character in this game. So what I'm saying is, in a game like Street Fighter 4, execution and knowledge mattered because the higher level player has the option select. He's just gonna have a stronger offense and he's getting more damage on that offense. Alright, so going back to Street Fighter 6, remember that difficult Cody combo? Well, let's check out like M. Bison for example, right? And M. Bison is admittedly one of the easier characters, but hey, let me show you like what I mean, right? Say that Bison wanna dump resources and get a lot of damage. He can simply do that, and this is like a very easy drive rush loop, and bam, into like level 3 super without critical art. I think this is gonna do about like 6k damage, right? It's gonna be like around 6k close, 57%, more so if I got in like a jump in, you would be like at 60. So very easy combos that anyone can do. It's literally like a heavy into heavy, like looming like heavy kick into heavy kick, and that was like 60%. So this means that the execution I was talking about, it doesn't really matter like that. Execution, it got Thanos snapped, where it's not there anymore. It means that now it's about don't get hit. Where prior, if player A fighting player B, because player A was getting more damage because he was having higher execution, player B had to work a lot harder. But now, both of them are getting the same reward almost. So this means that player A now have to spend more energy in the match. Player A, the higher level player, now have to focus more. Now he have to keep track of like pokes, drive rush, drive impact, whatever, because player B, who was doing like low damage prior, is now capable of doing like top tier damage. So you, the better player, now have to focus more. When I talk about a 9 to 5, I don't mean that the player is bad or that they are incapable of playing. I mean that they have to exert more energy now because the other guy is getting damage. Where prior, the good player was the one getting all the damage and the weaker player wasn't getting as much, so they had to work even harder to get the win. Now both of them are getting higher damage, meaning that it is easier for the lower or the weaker player to win. It's easier for them to get the W, right? It's easier to get upset. It's much easier to get upset in Street Fighter 6 compared to any other Street Fighter game I have ever played. Does that make the game worse? No. Anyway, it makes it better for the 9 to 5 worker. And anyway, if you're a 9 to 5 worker who was pretty good or is pretty good, this means that you have to focus more, and if you're tired, you can't, so you're losing. And one aspect of Street Fighter 6 that makes this even extra hard is that execution is not the only skill that got diminished, unfortunately. If you're checking out like the other skills, I feel like knowledge as well is starting to take a hit, because most of the offense and the offensive decisions you get to make are kinda binary. Like let's say that you're fighting Mai, right? Like she do 3 jabs, bam, now you're in the corner. Now you have to guess for like a very binary throw loop. This is about the current meta, right? It's a very binary throw loop. Is that as deep as Cody knocking you down and now you have to option select or whatever character? No. This means that anyone can do that, and obviously this is Mai, and this is not like every singular character in this game, but we all know the meta, right? And say that spacing matter. I am someone who was particularly good. I think my best attribute as a player was organizing my mental stack, where alright, I know that the opponent here is gonna try to go for their win condition, so they need a big hit, maybe they're gonna dash or jump, and I am looking for that, and then like organizing which of the threat do I need to pay attention to and which one I don't. And this meant that the quality of the hit mattered, right? How you got hit mattered. In Street Fighter 6, how you got hit doesn't really matter. If Mai hits me with jabs, she's gonna do jab, jab, jab. I would say jab, jab, drive rush, jab, bam, bam. Now I'm in the corner. Now I have to guess for the throw loop. And she's immediately getting meter. Immediately we're getting into the binary decision. If I am worried about the jab or like the crouching medium kick, bam. If I'm shooting low, it's pretty much the same thing. If I got him by a heavy punch, it's pretty much the same thing. How I got hit pretty much does not matter. What matters is the situation and my getting to her win condition. While prior, if you happen to get swept with punish, was different than getting hit by the crouching medium kick, was different than getting hit by a poke, was different than getting hit by like a heavy normal. Every hit and how the opponent got the hit matters. Now, because there is drive rush and drive rush conversions, it pretty much becomes a game of how you can get your opponent to the corner to apply your mix-up. Does that make Street Fighter 6 a worse game? Absolutely not. This is not what I'm saying. I'm just saying this is the meta. Because of everything I just mentioned, what I'm trying to say is that Street Fighter 6 requires more this. Your reactions is now this is by far the most important element. I will say reactions and resource management, these two attributes became far more important than mind games. Mind games still, but even then, like, whatever, because the game is so volatile, even if you make like 9 good reads, 1 bad read can cost you the round anyways. But now the game became much more about reactions and resource management. These two became by far the biggest attributes. And that's why when you are working like the 9 to 5, when you're doing everything, when your mind isn't clear, it's just simply hard to make the fast decisions. It is simply hard to react to everything. And that's why the sentiment of I need to be hydrated, I need to be sleeping well, I need to be focused is much more prevalent in Street Fighter 6 compared to the previous games. What I'm trying to say, Street Fighter 4, you can get carried. You are getting carried by execution. You're getting carried by knowledge. Knowledge was king in Street Fighter 4. The player who knew more and knew how to execute had a substantial advantage over the other one. How much you had to focus didn't matter. If I had to hit you 3 times to win and you have to hit me 10 times, I don't really have to focus that much. I'm gonna find the 3 hits regardless. You have to work so much harder. That was Street Fighter 4. Street Fighter 5, I needed to know every knockdown. Okay, this one he gets okay. This one he doesn't get okay. This one he gets whatever. This is V-trigger activations, leaves him in slow range. This V-trigger activation doesn't leave him in slow range. And based on like your knowledge, you could get ahead very easily. In this game, it's more about how fast you can react, and in general how good your mind game is. If you know how to tilt opponents, if you know how to crack people up, if you have good offense, you can get very far. So anyway, it is harder for players to rely on skills that simply is not that important anymore. That's all I'm trying to say with this. Whether you agree with that, whether you think still it is a 9 to 5 worker game, I mean, that's completely fine. If you have enjoyed this video, please leave a like or a comment. It helps the channel so much. I will be leaving a link to the Patreon, Discord, Twitter, and Twitch pages in the description. Thank you so much for watching and stay safe.